I'd like to call the meeting of March in the City of Cedar Springs order, and if you would all please stand, we'll recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for attending this evening. I would request, clerkly, that if you have a cell phone, turn it down on to vibrate or turn it off. Okay, at this time a roll call vote. Mr. Clark. Here. Mr. Hopkins. Here. Mrs. Nixon.
Here.
Mrs. Powell.
Here.
Mr. Truesdale. Here. Mr. Truesdale. You're not a Mr. no more?
Yeah, I thought you said Mrs.
No, I only called for that. Mrs. Conley. Mr. Hall. Thank you all. Yeah, I make that here once in a while and I'm really sorry. Thanks for correction. Public forum. The council welcomes and encourages the public to speak during the public comment of the public hearing portion of the agenda. However, council's policy is to hear the public comment, not to act on the public comment at that time. Concerns brought before the council during the public comment period of the agenda will be referred to the city manager for action. If after communicating with the city manager no resolution is reached, the concern will be elevated to the mayor and then eventually to the council for action. Citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the council meeting that citizens are allowed to address the council. Please state your name and address for the record. At this time, is there anyone wishing to speak? Mr. Kephart.
Sean Gippard, 1575 Mile. Here for Skinner Field, actually. On the agenda for the chamber later. But, we had our first meeting of the year this week. As a matter of fact, Ms. Powell was there. And it was brought up, we've got a couple of projects in the works. We secured a new scoreboard for the field, from Marshall, actually. And we're getting that Saturday. Now, we are not running new electric. We're not doing anything but taking one down, hanging the other. The poles aren't coming down. The way we read the lease was that as long as we're not doing anything that requires permits, tearing anything down, or dismantling of anything that we didn't need city council permission. We kind of turned the rose there, and of course she wouldn't answer the question because she can't. So she mentioned that I should come public forum and see if your interpretation of the lease is the same. Obviously, you probably won't answer that today because you don't have a lease in front of you. But between now and us putting it up, we would like guidance as to whether we have to actually petition you to do that. Again, we are not dismantling the old scoreboard. We are not disposing of the old scoreboard. It's going to go into the storage building on the property. We are not, at this time, thinking we have to run new electric. If we do, we will apply for the right permits. We understand it requires that.
Understandable. The only question I would have is maybe we've checked from our building inspector for municipal services to see if electrical is kind of the deal. I'm not sure if we can waive that policy.
Just connecting and connecting.
Can't waive a permit.
It's a,
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
we believe that the one has a plug that will plug in the existing plug. We don't think we even have to do any wiring. If we have to do any wiring,
So you're just
anytime,
unplugging and plugging.
right, the wires,
It's like a light.
the plugs are already there. We believe we can just unplug one, put the other one in, based on going to Marshall and taking photos of one plug and then the receptacle on the other. We haven't actually got them in the same location yet.
Yeah.
If we find out we have to do anything electrical, we'll stop and apply for permits. We just want to know if, without doing electrical, without doing anything but taking one down, hanging the other, if we need anything. So.
I think that would be a manager question to the building.
I'll look at the lease and get back with you.
Yeah, that's...
The scoreboard will be delivered on Saturday, but we're just putting it into storage. We're not doing anything Saturday with it. The other one was Just a quick update on the field. We have all of the Kentucky bluegrass seed, most of the fertilizers and that we need minus phosphorus. We did a soil sample with the mill here in town, which gave us the list of what we need. We worked out deals with various vendors, including Family Farm and Home, to secure those. We have the equipment we need. It will be a whole new field by the end of the year. So,
Good job.
I didn't hear you mention herbicides. Are those a part of the?
in a weed feed sort of way, yes, we're not using anything that requires any kind of, there are some really powerful ones that are out there. We're basically going to strip this field down to almost what it needs. We've started aerating it at the end of last season to get, because it's really compact.
So you're going to till it up? Is that what you're saying?
It's going to be aerated, not filled.
No.
And aerated and fast. I
Are
don't
the
know.
hole punchers?
Right. It's so worn down now that there's very little we have to do to trim it, except for we just have to break the soil up, and that's going to be done with, again, we aerated at the end of the last year.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep. Your time's almost
Oh,
up.
okay. So that's the update on that. The last thing is the siding on the building. The tower, we've got that donated. We're working on the deal for that to be donated, and we're not tearing down the structure, at least at this point. We're just refacing. So I don't think we need anything for that, but if we do, you can let me know.
Thanks for that.
And also, just a brief comment, I didn't want to interrupt your time. There's a gentleman who takes his metal detector out there. You may want to consider a no digging sign.
Oh, wow, okay. I didn't see that. I will.
Good point.
We've got roll signs coming.
Stuff you see out your window.
Yes.
Well, and the more rolls that come up, the list keeps getting long. It's going to be a big sign.
Okay. That it, folks? All right, Mr. Ringler.
Dave Ringler, 95 North Main, just asking real quick, based on our conversation today, is there an approval that needs to be added today for our event, considering it's on private property, or I see it's not on the agenda, so I wanted to check.
Well, the agenda went out last Friday.
Yes, of course, so this would be an add-on, which I want to ask before the
We were
agenda
going
is
to add
approved.
you. Yes. We have a thing.
You're being added.
You're being added.
Being added.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I know.
Do you feel added?
All right. Any other persons wishing to address the council at this time? Mr. Wallace.
Great to see so many people out here. Nice to have flexibility to take care of one of our things that need to be added on. And then the Marshall thing, they're also Red Hawks, so.
Oh.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
We need to get rid of the two big M's. But other than that.
Other than that, yes, so that's a nice,
It's a nice.
it's a nice
That's
little.
exciting.
Good.
I have, with the Flint water thing and everything, and then the article in the paper last week, it made me think back about a year ago when our water supply went down so low that both the National Sanitation and the Kent County EPA told us that we should have flushed our system because we could have backwashed, and I came and asked you guys about it, and I thought we were going to have some review of some of the things that we needed to do, and then when I saw the article in the paper that the correct tests weren't done, I'm just a little disappointed with how things are being supervised for our water. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can add that if we cover a piece.
Any other persons wishing to address the council? Mr. Ballard.
Good evening. Ken Benham, 337 4th Street. I was just curious, I've been out of the loop for so long. I was wondering if we still have a code enforcer. I've just been noticing an awful lot of blight. Cars being up on jags for over a year in my neighborhood. And not only my neighborhood, but, just driving around. I've seen a lot of different blights I know that people would have been gotten tagged for in years past, so I don't know. Like I
If you
said,
can give me those addresses, we do have a new code enforcement officer.
do it? Okay,
He works on Tuesdays, but if you
okay,
have some of those addresses, I can pass them on.
great. Thank you.
We were a short time without one, but
Okay.
thank you. Any other wishing to address the council at this time? We got 3 left and have everybody. Hearing none.
Nothing from Gary? He's looking.
No.
We have, item number 4, we have, no public hearings, so at this time, approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of,
I believe it's H.
H
To, under new business,
under new business
Brewing
for the
Company.
Cedar Springs Brewing Company.
and the removal of,
And the removal of policy 12, the motion to waive policy 12 on A of new business.
correct. Any other changes or additions or removals?
Did you want, a tendency of the damn speaker to be put at the end if need be, if she's late? No.
Good point.
So I think, were we gonna just like table
Just
it
so
or move it or
everybody's
skip
aware.
it as we go?
Just so everybody knows that when she comes in, we'll leave it on the agenda, but we'll skip over it and then go back to it, if everybody's agreeing to that. Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Do we want to do anything with the policy 12 motion on 1A?
Because I just struck it.
You struck it?
Yeah, we've done that. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the agenda with changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries, the agenda is approved. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Any councils requesting to remove or add any of the motions in order to adopt this agenda, not remove the consent? No. Any questions on it?
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support that.
Supported by Terry. Any discussion? We made some changes. Everybody's okay? Hearing no discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those approved signify by saying no. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. In the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 11th. On that 1 minute, Linda, on the planning commission minutes, Mr. Hopkins seconded that motion to approve the site plan, not I.
Under the planning commission minutes?
Yes,
Okay, I can change that.
that was the only thing that I caught. Unless anyone else?
I wasn't at that meeting.
Pardon?
I was not at that meeting.
Okay. Okay, and the approval of checks paid prior to 38/5/66 through 38/6/42 totaling $331,997.92. The January accounts payables numbers checks numbering 38/6/44 through 38/6/59 totaling $260,373.84. The electronic transfers totaling, small, $583.60. The total of all checks and transfers payable is $592,955.36. Any questions?
I said, didn't we just do this?
Yeah, but I just wanted the public to know that.
Oh.
Just so they know
Okay.
what we're paying. Correspondence. We have the February 29th, 2016 Charter Communication Letter. B, the Right Place Monthly Report. C, the Grand Valley Metro Council Weekly Update, February 9th, February 26th, and March 4th. And D is the January 19th, 2016 Community Building Development Team Minutes. Any discussion on any of those communications? Hearing none. Moving on to item 8, unfinished business. Mrs. Christensen?
Well, last month you had a young man come in and speak to you about Citizens United and versus the FEC, and I asked him if he could be in attendance tonight, but fortunately for him, he is a member of the Walker Citizen Council, so he is at that meeting tonight. But he did send another email to me with another area where you can go to look and get some additional information. Other than what he handed out, I really don't have anything. I think that Pam has information and Molly has information on it if you wanted to further discuss it. He wants you to sign a resolution, but you might want to discuss it before you make any motion to approve a resolution regarding it.
Okay, what's the will of the council? Mrs. Powell.
I have mixed emotions about us as a council being united on this resolution or signing anything for it. My feeling is that people should be out with their petitions as citizens and individuals in order to get this through to the Supreme Court.
If I may. It sounds...
Are you done, Mrs. Powell? Okay, Mrs. Nixon.
It sounds to me as if this young man has contacted our representative, and the representative suggested to him that he get with the local municipalities and have the municipal governments weigh in on this. So this is at the request, essentially, of our representative. Not that we be for or against it, but that we weigh in.
Okay.
I don't feel that we have.
We haven't.
One at a time, please. Go ahead, Ms. Nixon. You have the floor.
I would like to make a motion that we sign this resolution and send it to our representative.
Okay. Just for the sake of discussion, there's a motion on the floor. Is there support? Hearing none, no support, motion dies, so we'll continue with the discussion.
Well, I would like to research that a little bit more before I vote yea or nay.
Okay.
So my personal opinion, but I don't want my personal opinion to affect the municipality.
And
Because I would just soon have anybody be able to and get just as much publicity when it comes to elections and that sort of stuff, not just the rich stuff.
Okay.
And I wholeheartedly agree with Councilor Nixon. I would just like to have a couple more conversations about it before we were to entertain a motion
Certainly.
advocating
We
a
can research
constitutional
and
change.
bring back our research, and I'm fine with that.
And again, knowing, I'm really feeling like I should hold office hours in Meyer. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that way. I think I talked to something like 9 different people in Meyer, including one lady who thought I must always wear red because I wear red to city council meetings, but I was in the frozen food section. Who I know that they watch these, and I would like to get community input as we continue to have this conversation. So I think it's, what are your questions about it?
What I hear from the rest of the council, we want to do some more research, and we'll come back to this. Agreed?
We can come back next month.
Perhaps for people.
I just want y'all seem to be in the constituents that if we vote on this, we're voting partisan. I just want to make sure that that's not the case.
True.
Before we
I feel that this was a terrible ruling, regardless of who voted what. So, as Democrat or Republican, I don't care who voted what. I think it's terrible.
And
No, I mean, I don't want it to make it look like our council is voting Republican or Democrat like what.
Oh, no.
Yes, okay.
I understand that there's members of our council who feel that this is on some level a partisan issue, but it's been, there are people on both sides of the aisle that think it was maybe not a very good rule. Because, I mean, there's not wealthy Republicans who also feel it's not a good idea. The separation is much more about who has the money to raise money in super PACs and who doesn't. If if you ask Ben Carson, he would probably tell you it's not a very good idea.
You're dangerously flirting though with the partisan side of this issue. And from what I've seen on the internet, those groups that are against it are very clearly, either some of them are actually anti-constitutionalists, they're the extreme, yes, but you will find very few conservatives who are on the side that it's wrong. They would say, well, the reason the Supreme Court supported this was because recognizing corporations as individuals has been part of the Supreme Court decisions since 1819. Even one or maybe two of the dissenting Supreme Court justices said that that was the case, that all of the Supreme Court previous decisions recognized corporations as individuals, having individual rights. Whether it's good or bad, that's another decision. But I do think that a legal precedent or something sent from the Congress could correct it. And I'm in agreement that big money it lends itself toward corruption, which is the big issue.
Right.
Do we
And
have
Congress has
corruption?
tried.
One time, please.
So I still come down the side of the position that it's so partisan that for us as a nonpartisan body to take a position means that we're representing everybody in the community. There's no way that we can do that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
what if we put in our motion something on the lines of being nonpartisan on our decision? Our decision is nonpartisan. Some verbiage in there
Anything's possible.
when we get to that.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
The Congress tried to tackle this with the campaign finance bill that was put out by McCain-Feingold, that was put out by a Democrat and a Republican. And the Supreme Court said, no, it doesn't fall within the structure. So at that point, it's not partisan. I mean, the attempt to change it was a bipartisan attempt. I mean, unless you're advocating John McCain as a Republican.
I would probably advocate that he's not a real conservative, but that doesn't matter.
Well, but he's a Republican.
One at a time, yeah. We're going nowhere fast, and I guess I wouldn't want to hurt my chances of re-election with all my PAC money coming here. That's kind of, maybe we ought to bring it back next.
I even spent a couple $100 on signs. So.
Anyway. So if I'm hearing we would want to put this back on?
Yeah, I would like to keep having a conversation about it. Okay.
We're just gonna, okay.
That's fair.
What do we, all right, we'll bring it as a discussion only.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody agree?
If we can get all of our viewers to send us their input.
Oh, and ask your constituents.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Item B.
Mr. Clark requested this item be on the agenda, a continued discussion of city properties on the tax roll. And I believe he has some additional information that he wants to present this evening.
Yes, I have invited Shia Highlander to speak to us this evening, and I'll just say these two things before he gets up there. I've asked Shia to address 3 areas of the city property being added to the tax roll. One is Skyhawks Airstrip, 2 the lagoons for snowmobile races, 3 residential/commercial properties that we don't see. My hope is that you will help us have confidence that there is more than one way to legally deal with the city-owned properties, and perhaps simplify our bookkeeping and encourage civic-minded organizations like the Skyhawks. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about her job and the cost of it.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Kinder here. At one time, she was our city tax assessor before she moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, a long time ago. I was just thinking about that about 10 years ago is when I was going to be the assessor here. I was here for about 5 years in the early 2000s. I lived right up the street on Ash Street, 218 East Ash Street. I've been in assessment administration for 26 years, and when I left here, I became the equalization director for Mecosta County. And I know everybody knows what that means. county has a county level of assessment administration. So if you're in Kent County, you have an equalization office and an equalization director, and it's just property tax law says there's 3 levels of equalization to make sure that assessments are fair and equal. So I'm pretty passionate about it, so I could teach on it, but I'm sure that's not why I'm here tonight. So I just want to give you a quick overview of what I know and what I've researched. So do you guys want to see what I'm talking about?
Please.
All right.
Do you have one for each of us? Yeah. Thank you so much. Of course you do. Oh, she's a teacher. I teach assessment.
Okay, so as you can see on the top, that is all property, real and personal, within the jurisdiction of the state, within every jurisdiction, that is not expressly exempted is taxed. Okay? So that is property tax law 101. Everything is taxed unless it's expressly exempt in tax law. So then, if you go down to the next one, MCL 211-7M is where property owned by or being acquired pursuant to an installment purchase agreement by a county, township, city, village, or school district. And you see the bolded area, used for public purposes, and property owned and acquired, and so it goes down there. This is where the exemption is for city property, okay? This says it's used for public purposes. Now, the excerpt from the Supreme Court of Michigan says that public purpose has been defined as promotes public health, safety, morals, general welfare, security, prosperity, and contentment of all the inhabitants or residents within the municipal corporation. Okay, that's their definition. All right. So then we start talking about what's called concessions. MCL 211-181 is the other part of state tax law that talks about city property. And what it says is, if real property that is exempt for any reason on an ad valorem tax base, if it's leased, loaned, or otherwise made available to and used by a private individual, association, or corporation in connection with a business conducted for profit, the lessee or user of the real property is subject to taxation. Okay? And, but that doesn't apply, so subsection 1 doesn't apply to these 2 things under subsection 2. We're going to, A is federal property, but B is property that is used as a concession at a public airport, park, market, or similar property that is available for use by the general public. So, with all that legal talk done, I will give it to you in lay terms. So city property that is used for the public purposes is exempt. All right? City property that is leased or loaned or used by a for-profit is taxable. Okay? That's what that all says. Now the 3 parts that I want to talk about is if you turn that paper over, I want to specifically talk right now about like the little Skyhawk property. If you look at their lease, they are a nonprofit corporation.
Right.
That right there should exempt them because state tax law says if it's used, the concession part says if it's conducted for profit. Right there is clear, very clear. Okay. So you've got that part. And if you have questions about this, you can ask me however you run your meeting there. So think about it that it's open to the general public and it's not exclusive. You know, people can go there. They're not kicked out. They have no ownership. Their license says they have no ownership to the property. They're using it. Okay, and they're not for profit. The other part is it's not exclusive. You know, so you got a concession part where it says they're open to the general public, it's used for the general welfare, and then you've got the public purpose part. They haven't ruined or taken away from that general, the public purpose.
So my question is, it is my understanding, but I've not seen it personally, that the Skyhawks have an area that is cordoned off specifically that they use. So under that condition, it would be taxable.
It's not at all, it's all open.
Oh,
Well, I've been out there, it's not.
oh, I misunderstood then.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
May I ask a question, for you?
Go ahead.
I raised this exact same question in that exact same structure to our previous city manager, and he told me that it was exclusive because they had a membership, and that while all the rest of us could go sit and watch, we couldn't fly the plane.
Okay. However, property state tax law says it has to be a for-profit organization.
Okay, that was, thank you for clarifying.
We're just going over total.
I know.
Again, it didn't make sense to me. That was a frustrating piece to me.
So let's think about this as we think about our red flannel. Let's take it a step further and think about it. Any of you ever been up to the 4th of July Cherry Festival? Do you have to pay to get in their area? And is that public property?
Yes.
Absolutely. You have to pay to get in the gates, and it's public property, and they rent that space, just like we do out here on Main Street on Red Flannel Day. If you wanna sell your crafts, you have to rent your space.
Or you're out there.
Whatever you want to do. Does that mean that's
Taxable?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's concession. It's a concession. Same idea if it were for profit, which it's not. So right there, that it has to be a for-profit is what makes that absolutely.
Mayor, may I ask one more question? This is a follow-up.
Sure.
So we have some people building a amphitheater as a community building property, not-for-profit organization, on city property, donate to the property. We're going to have a green town square that at some point could be rented out. For concerts.
Absolutely.
Weddings. If someone were to put a wedding in the park, if we were to put a Ren Fair in the park.
Okay.
If we were to,
How many of us have been up to Gordon Park and you have to rent the pavilion if you want to have it? That is a concession. That money goes to help pay for the utilities there. It goes to help.
and mow the lawn and.
Okay.
Just
so,
clarifying.
Yep, so there's the Skyhawk Park. All right? So let's talk about the snowmobile races. I don't know who the people are that put that on. Okay? It doesn't matter because think about it just like the Red Flannel or the Cherry Festival or the 4th of July where they, up in Sand Lake where they do their little car demolition derby. All right, tells you how much I like the demolition derby. Anyway, open to the general public, even though you have to pay a fee to get in, it's open to the general public. It's just a rented space for a period of time. It's a concession. It happens all over the state of Michigan. And another definition of the public purpose was drawing commerce to the community, which I would consider that doing. If it's drawing people to the community. So that's my take on that. Now, the other property that we own, and I tried to print out a map. I have a map where I have all of the properties that were placed on the roll. I'm not sure. I guess my question to you, and I don't expect you guys to even answer right now, but how did we get them? Why do we have them? And what are we doing with them? So I looked up our master plan, and this specifically talks about the lagoon areas, right? We have a plan for that.
That's where the Skyhawk and the snow.
Absolutely. That is absolutely public purpose.
Yeah.
We have a reason we have them, we had to take care of them, So if the only reason those portions are going on the roll is because of the Skyhawk and snowmobile, then I don't know, we don't have to worry about really the use because we already know what the use is. It's public. We had to have those. We had to take care of those lagoons and stuff. And even if it's for future, I read in the master plan that we had future, maybe industrial, possibly, but we would have to put in some infrastructure.
Correct.
Well, there's a court case, a Michigan Supreme Court case with the city of Mount Pleasant that talks specifically about that it exempts it. Even if the city puts money to it and the future plan is to sell it for industrial, So there's that on that part. So I guess I'm not real worried about that unless you have questions. I mean, that's pretty clear to me.
Yeah, it's intended to be in a future industrial park.
And it's in the master plan, I think.
Correct.
So that,
Brownfield.
well, and the reason I think that it's not, that this is not what the problem is because it wasn't put on, like there was only a little value put on. And that's a lot of acreage. So I believe the value was just for the area that was motorcycle and the Skyhawk area. So now, however, we own some wooded property somewhere. On my map, it was up here, in the northeast side of several acres.
Yes, it's basically off the end of your street.
Oh.
It was donated to the city on Nielsen at one time.
Yeah.
For development, and they couldn't build on it because of wetlands.
Sure.
It's swamped.
So, you know what? That's green space for our community, right?
Okay.
It is. It's not buildable. It's green space that was donated to us.
According to, I had a lengthy conversation with Jason about this, and according to him, if we don't put a sign on it, we can be taxed.
Wait a minute. But you put a sign that says city people can't go on it and take a walk on it?
We told him it can be a
Even if
national
it's-
preserve or whatever, it has to be signed.
Did he say where he had that information from?
It's all right here on all these papers that he brought. Apparently, he went to our city attorney, Crystal Morton, and every one of his opinions has been backed up by hers.
Yeah. Was he the only one that got to talk to her, or did anybody else get to talk to her? Because I would have really liked to have had a conversation with her.
Well, you know, I don't even know, did we have to pay for these opinions from Crystal? Did you get permission from you, or are these he paid for them?
Okay.
No, we paid them. We got permission from them.
Yes.
Let's just
So,
get back to
okay,
that.
so let's get back to that.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of places, cities, townships, have a lot of property that is for the public purpose that doesn't say any person can walk on this property at any time. Right? Just saying.
Yeah.
So the other areas, I'm not quite sure. There were a couple lots. There were a couple, I'm not sure why we own them. I'm not sure how we got them. Yeah.
We have those that set up for future habitat community. We had one lot there, and we had traded one non-buildable lot for the community development team, and it's side by side that one too.
So that's for future development,
Correct.
which is absolutely clear in the Supreme Court, Mount Pleasant versus whoever, the Mount Pleasant case that says future development, if it's planned,
That's the reason.
yeah.
If you were basically advocating that to be active until we build something.
Okay, that's,
That's what I know.
okay.
That's what I know. So, the appeal process for us as a city, and I just want to tell you, I care about this city, you know, and, well, I do, and, so, the appeal process is for us to go to board of review, just like every taxpayer goes to the board of review, and, makes their complaint. Now, it's very simple, not everybody's gone to the board of review, I've made my kids go. I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't an assessor, but they've seen what happens at board reviews.
I've been.
Okay, simple. I've already filled them out. Somebody has to go, one of you guys, and if we can go when I'm available, I'll take time off work and I'll go. And we talk to the board of review and we plead our case. It costs nothing.
Does that include all of our properties that have been listed as
That is correct.
taxable?
I have an appointment, so I could probably take them.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When? Do we have a date?
We'll have to make an appointment to put this on.
I have a note on his desk that we need an appointment.
Thank you. Okay, great.
Can you let us all know when that is?
If you let me know when it is, because I am also an assessor of a small unit in Osceola County that I have to get in my own board review. So if I,
Thank you. We will be in touch.
just talk to me, just email me. I have my card too. Now, if we don't agree with what they do, then the next step is a further appeal, and that's when it starts to cost a little bit of money. If I may say, I think somebody besides Jason should have talked to the attorney. I think somebody here or somebody here should have had a conversation and then not be one-sided. So, and I'd be willing, but I'd be willing to give all my information, email everything I have to anybody, and answer any questions after that.
If it goes that far, we'll be in touch. Mr. Clark.
Do we need to inform the board of review the deadline for us to let them know that we're going to be there?
I don't think so. If your board of review makes an appointment, and usually you usually call, make an appointment, or sometimes they do by, like, first come, first serve, if they have some availability.
When I did it, you had to have an appointment.
Yeah, and yeah, this now, you have to call and make an appointment.
And you have to be there at the appointment time.
We'll be there.
I'm just saying, I mean, that was like a thing. There were people who didn't show up and they were
That's the
told
policy.
you can't.
Yep.
We will be there.
So, as long as you're there,
And that is scheduled now.
he's gonna do it.
And he has to admit that it will be put on the schedule. Any other questions from Ms. Stein? Thank you, Ms. Enlightened.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, and you've got my number, and you can share it.
Thank you.
Yeah, put it on Facebook.
Are you on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I will friend you.
okay, moving on to C, update on the status. Ms. Crichton, I see updating the status on the empty fire truck.
Yes, Marty's gonna update you on what he knows about how that's coming along.
Everybody's waiting, the whole town's so anxious. You walk like Liam Neeson.
Like who?
No comment. I briefly went over where the Model A is at. They'd like to have it ready for the 4th of July parade at the soonest. Probably, he didn't guarantee it, but probably for Red Model A. We talked to council members during the workshop, and hopefully that's ready for parade.
Great, great.
One question, when we do get it, where are we gonna keep it? We're gonna store it. So we
Mr. Hall, you have any questions?
Well,
I'm not really sure at this point in time. I'd like to stick it in a couple of different storage places. However, I don't know what the liability and the insurance and stuff would be on that. I do not have room at the fire station. I believe that the DPW does not have any room in their buildings either. However, if we can prod the council and CDBG Elemental Fuel Committee to build us a new fire station, we can, by October, we can have it stored in a new building.
not by October.
It's to come in with your steam-powered fire engine, right?
I'm not sure.
Has that committee met again?
Pardon me?
The fire barn committee?
No,
We have not met yet.
no. The council, once a fire truck becomes available, we will have to provide it with an adequate
I
product.
told Carl I would like a kind of a cover for it so that we can protect it from whatever. We will find a place for it someday.
I feel like even if
Maybe, the police department had a stall next door, and maybe we can borrow that back from Tom, if he can go there.
Well,
You'll have to work it out.
Even in the interim, between now and when we get the new fire barn built, because it will happen eventually. I feel like even if we put it in a climate-controlled storage somewhere, we all just spent a lot of money on this to make it look really nice. And I don't want to put it somewhere where it's just going to deteriorate again. I feel like even if we pay for just to roll it in somewhere where it's, no temperature extremes, it's not going to get rained on, I think that would be worth it.
Birch Run has a exterior glass enclosed building with their antique fire truck in it.
Oh yeah, I feel like we could roll that in. I mean, we're already going to spend quite a chunk on the new fire barn. I feel like at some point you just roll it in.
we will, and it has to be climate controlled. I mean, you can't leave it out in the weather, and you can't leave it in the sun.
Right.
You know, so we will find a place until.
But until that happens, I
Yeah.
feel like we could
Yeah,
probably spring for some storage.
the mayor and I have talked too about the idea of maybe trying to get something here on the end of City Hall that's climate controlled and.
Sure, so people could look at it.
We,
year round if
right,
they wanted.
that's the idea. And a pretty historical sign, 'cause I'm a comm major and I like signs.
Bob might let you put it in his living room if you need a spot.
No?
Maybe Marty's gonna go sleep with it, because that's what we're hearing. When he's
All right.
gone.
Also, I had asked in the council's consensus that the Chief Frazier here would put together, some type of a protocol on the use of that
And who
precious
drives?
vehicle. Who drives it, how the liability unfolds. It has to be, I believe, a city employee to drive it to cover all the liability under the cities. And also, if you take it to an event, a city employee driving it would be covered, and it is covered under the MMLR pool insurance, so that is all covered, and even the liability portion, so.
We have used the DPW pickup and trailer to wherever the event may be, and I believe, like Mayor Hall says, that that's covered under our
It is.
blanket coverage, fleet coverage, so that if something should happen, it's covered.
We want to get with MML to raise the price on it, the replacement value, once it's,
Get a new appraisal on it?
Well, yeah.
so they'll
Yeah.
say what it's truly worth. But
No,
anyway,
really.
I wouldn't begin to know where to look to find out the value, but I can research that, some, and see, there has to be somewhere, some.
Hagerty Insurance Company. But
Somebody
I'm
ought to
sure
give
you'll
us
be
an
able to.
appraisal.
But if you come up with what your thoughts on how you think it should be, and definitely, I'm sure this council and everyone else agrees that to advertise it in other communities in their parades is advantageous for us.
Well, we have used it over quite a few years at various parades throughout mid-Michigan, Greenville, Truman, Sand Lake, Sparta, and then Sparta places, and the last couple of years, she was getting tired, so we kind of limited to where we went with it, simply because how about to keep it running, well, then we come up with the idea of, let's fix some money in it. And we did, the firefighters did, 4 years ago, did a few fundraisers. And
Car washes and.
we raised enough money to believe that we have enough to put her back the way she was.
And thanks to all them that did help.
Yeah.
We appreciate the
Very
council,
appreciate it.
the council back then letting us go ahead and pursue that dream.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Brief?
Were they able to change out the mechanical clutch, or did we have to go back to that?
I'm not sure with that. The motor is sitting in a separate facility that's going to be rebuilt. I'm not sure, I haven't got specific with the restoration committee to find out the exact intent, but they say she's gonna be pretty brand new.
I understood this
I'm
more.
a little concerned about the leather brakes on it, but, back then,
That's authenticity.
May I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Just for a future piece of information going forward, you said you know of a place that has a glassed-in thing where they have a display like that?
Bertram over Frankenmuth.
Do you have any contacts with those people where you
I
might be
do
able to?
not, but I have some pictures.
Okay.
It's basically a glass building that is climate controlled, that has glass on it, and over there with Bronner's and everything being over there, they put Santa Claus in the front. See, it's Christmas time, they put the Easter bunny at Easter time and that stuff. And then when it has a door, that when they use it for whatever events, I believe it's still.
I'd just like to get some information on like how much does it cost, what do we have to do to build it, so we could maybe start
This is
looking
kind of,
at.
you just give me a check, sign it, and I will fill in the amount.
I'm sure you will.
Moving on.
I gotta find the money. Under a rock somewhere.
May I speak? I'm somewhat concerned. You talk, Marty, about the engine is somewhere and it's going to be rebuilt. Now, it has been months and years since I and my wife attended the fundraising out at the restaurant, the spaghetti dinner. You will recall that
About 4 years ago.
that we gave you $100 bill, and that's not too bad for a little business. And all this time, we're waiting for something to happen. I mean, there's engine rebuilders all over the country. Why hasn't this engine been rebuilt and ready to go? You know, you asked me for money, and I gave money, and I'd like to see that unit back on the street.
The person that, and I know the person that's rebuilding it, he knows what he's doing, and he is pretty much doing it on his own time at no cost, his part. So,
Well, that's all well and good, but if we wait on somebody, no time, no cost,
we'll be done.
how long does it take to get something done?
I think he probably has it about done now, or thereabouts. I don't know.
Well, you said it hadn't been started, so I mean,
I'd like to start out by saying I appreciate Mr. Truesdale's donation of $100. I was not going to get specific as to who donated what, whether it be $5, 50 cents, or $2,000. However, when I took this agreement on, I talked to Carl and Rich Straub, and they stated that they would be more than willing to jump onto that. However, running their business to make a livelihood so that they can live and support families, they shoved it in the back corner. And it sat back in the corner a little longer than they had anticipated. Well, days went to months, months went to years. And he had apologized profusely that it has taken this long. However, they have required a couple of new buildings where they're going to do their restoration, and our Model A is not the only vehicle in that building. They do this on the side
another time to you.
because they want to do it. And the reason the motor is was taken out in October or November to have a engine rebuilder rebuild the engine and do it right. We don't want some backyard mechanic throw a couple wrenches on it there and come away with a motor that is equal or worse than what it was before it got pulled out of there. I'm not going to stand here and apologize for the length of time simply because I understand if your livelihood is due to what comes in and out of that door for profit, and they're doing this for nothing other than parts. If they buy a $400 fender, we pay for the fender. They don't charge us the thing to primer, paint it, other than the materials. Like I said, days went to months, months went to years, and Rich has apologized profusely on several occasions because it has taken so long.
I'm not, I'm not faulting you, Marty. I just, my own makeup is let's get things done. And it just seems like there's been just too much lapse of time. I mean, the 7,500, wasn't that what you were
That was the original
asked
cost,
for
yes.
at the time?
That was the original estimate, yes.
And so that's buying parts, basically, is what you said.
That is for materials. He has to buy 6 tires, 6 tubes, and, or, well, 4. He has to buy fenders, he has to buy paint, he has to buy primer, and what we're paying at $7,500 is for materials, no labor at all.
Think it's a new car.
I think
It costs more than that.
everybody wants to see this grand old vehicle as soon as they can, and a restoration takes 3 to 5 years.
I'm just excited as everybody else is about it. I've spent some quality seat time with that vehicle.
I too. Let's keep it brief. We've delayed this, I think, for a long
I'll
time.
shorten my story then.
Great.
I've had enough occurrences with kamikaze gears over the years that I know that 7,500 is not covering the labor and the repairs.
Yep. I just Googled to restore a Model A, between $55,000 and $75,000 done right.
down the flagpole.
The council money that we put in there, is that all?
Okay.
That's
That
part of
is not included in that original price, but it is earmarked for that specific task.
Additional
Labor
materials.
and material?
I'm not sure we're gonna have a labor bill. I'm not sure whether we're gonna have a labor bill.
We authorized for labor, but he's saying he thinks they're donating it out.
Thanks, Marty.
Did you drive it past my grave when you do get it?
I'd like to do that. I will assure you I can do that for you.
Thank you.
Unless it's way out of state.
No, it's right down here, half a mile south of town.
No, that was another thing, real quickly, that, we're gonna use it with the intent that there's been a couple of firefighters that are retired, that was one of their requests, that, they get one more ride.
What's, me too?
You're a firefighter.
We'll talk.
Well, you need a policy there on what's an active or retired or kicked off. Moving on, thank you for your time. All right, moving on to item D.
Tom is here and he can give you an update on what's going on with the project with the wastewater treatment plant, if you have any questions. There's a lot of material in your packet, but if you have any questions, he's here to answer them for you.
I see the young man also on Citizens United has arrived.
Good, okay. I know Mr. Pressman or Tom has several things on the agenda for approval. I don't know if we want to cover it then, Tom, or do you want to step up now and give us a recap or an overview of that?
I don't have anything on the agenda for approval.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, just the discussion, I think.
Well, what we're doing is in
It's an update.
the updates in your packet. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you, but I don't have anything more to add than what those updates are.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Moving on to new business.
I have one question, Mr. Mayor, if I may ask it.
You're late.
I had one too.
Just real quickly on the funding that we weren't sure exactly how much money we had left. I think we have a better handle on that now.
I gave you a report on it at the last meeting.
Right,
But we haven't spent anything since the last meeting.
okay, right, I understand. But I'm just saying, when we initially launched, we didn't know how much money we had. We now have a better understanding of that. As we're getting the parts ordered, where are we, in using it up? Is there a possibility we're going to need to order more? Is there a possibility we're going to run short on the things that you have budgeted?
On the things that we have
On the list?
you know, on the list, those are all within the budget.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, we have to, what we're trying to do is get this close without going over, because we can't go over, so we're trying to get as close.
Can we go over if we kick in? No? Okay.
So we have to keep a good eye on it during the process, and
That was my question.
Yes. Breeze?
Is it a good time to talk about the train?
The what?
The train?
The train system.
Yeah.
We were on your Jaguar.
Well, come on up.
Currently, Tom, if I remember right, we have a train system in there, and it has caused immense amount of problems because it's a priority or
yes,
Proprietary.
And then they were talking of replacing with a train, but there was another company, I think that won out, wasn't it?
It was off the shelf.
Mainly, we didn't have to pay train to come here to.
no, the train isn't going to be involved at all.
So we won't have to necessarily be amenable to them when we have work to do. I got this information from this guy and from Gary Owen that when we wanted to
It's Gary Osborne.
that when we wanted to get something done, we would get on the list